Hello, my fellow flippers, friends, and family. As you can probably tell from the title, I have a very exciting update coming for you today. You may remember my first video that I decided to create about 90 days into my reselling journey, where I decided to share exactly how much I made after my 90 days.
I was in debt to myself at the end of 90 days. I was in debt.
Okay, so more like how not profitable it was. Spoiler alert on the was. If you're new here, hi, I'm Taylor Jo. I'm a stay-at-home mom who randomly decided 6 months ago that I was going to start buying things and reselling it on eBay for profit to make a little extra money on the side. I am not your experienced reseller that has all the fantastic advice based on years of trial and error. I am a noob. So if you're getting started reselling or you're thinking about reselling and haven't started yet, I'm the person that you want to follow when you need a glimpse into what reselling as a beginner could actually look like. It's real and raw in here, and I don't glaze over a thing. So welcome to my channel, and I hope you're here to stay. Feel free to subscribe. Just to reiterate for the new viewers, when I first started sharing my journey, I had been just over 90 days in already. I'm all for transparency and realness, so I decided to share my income. Not the gross amount that eBay told me I made. In fact, not even the net amount that eBay told me I made. I was sharing the actual real income, the amount that is in my reseller's bank account, or in this case, the lack thereof. After 90 days of reselling stuff that I found at thrift stores or online liquidators, traveling to and from sourcing locations and the post office, buying shipping supplies and photographing supplies, and making unforgettable mistakes, I was somewhere between $300 and $400 in debt. In debt to myself, so. I am here today. This video will be going up on May 1st, right? In May of 2025, half a year into my reselling journey, to tell you that despite all the debt and spending, I am finally in the black. That means that I'm finally profitable, and every penny that I make from here on out is just profit. But by how much am I in the black? Let's find out by taking a journey through the last 90 days. We're going to go over all the things, like what I spent on inventory, travel, shipping supplies, other business supplies, and of course, how much I grossed on the inventory that I sold. And to make things even more fun, since it's been half a year of me working out the kinks and the logistics, I thought it would be fun to show you my newly refined inventory space and my newly refined reselling space, like my office space. Let's get started. Okay, so if I look at my spreadsheet, which is at a running total, not set by date, at the end of January, I would have been around $317 in debt. Let's put the exact amount on the screen. But Taylor, in your first video, you said you were around $400 in debt.
I was in debt.
Yes, I did say that. And that is because when I filmed that video, I was almost $400 in debt. And I also hadn't reached the end of January yet. So in my records, it's $317 because I made a few sales at the end of January that bumped that debt down a little bit. Calm down. Okay, so let's start with the slightly less exciting stuff. Travel. That's not exciting at all. I spent $75.12 on travel. Now, over the last 90 days, I've only traveled to 2 different locations. One would be the USPS store, repeatedly, like multiple times, and one would be the Goodwill Bins store. And I just did a video on my Goodwill Bins experience, so if you want to watch that, I will put the card up here for you. And then next, slightly more exciting, but still not very exciting, would be the materials. I spent $27.81 on shipping materials, and literally all that was an order of, I think, 300 poly mailers in a 10 by 13 size, because that's the size of poly mailers that I use the most. I do ship and sell a lot of clothing. So in my first video, I go over all of the shipping materials that I bought in bulk in my first 90 days. That is actually one of the things that contributed to my upfront debt to start the business. And then we have this super fun and exciting category called Other, which I spent $69.90 on Other. What is Other, you may ask? Oh, it's those little things that you don't think of when you start a reselling business from home. You already knew that you'd need shipping supplies, organize, right? What you didn't know is that you might need a few other things. In my case, in the past 90 days, I purchased 3 things to help streamline my listing process and actually make my listings a lot better quality. One of which is a photo table that I will get to later in the video during the tour. The other is a photo light. And lastly is a clothing rack and a bunch of hangers that I found at a garage sale for $10. Why would I need that? Well, because when you wash clothes after buying them and you don't hang them up, they get really wrinkly and it takes extra time to get the wrinkles out. That's why. All right, and then here's the even more exciting part, how much I spent on inventory. When it comes to inventory, on the past 90 days, I sourced almost exclusively from thrift stores or bin stores, but I do have to say, now that it's springtime, it's finally garage sale season, and I am proud to tell you that I've already dabbled successfully in going to garage sales and finding a ton of really high sell-through rate inventory. One item of which I have actually reached a personal record on. I listed it and sold it in under 10 minutes, and I've paid $2 for it at a garage sale. You'll see that later in my video as well. Anyways, according to my records, in February, I spent $271.28 on inventory. In March, $42.36, and in April, $93. If you're wondering why March was so low, one reason is because I was on vacation for an entire week in March, and another reason was I was actually spending a lot more time on YouTube than I was on my reselling business because I was learning a new software. I was trying to figure out kind of where I want to go with all of this. I didn't have the photo table yet, so taking photos and doing listings seemed like a huge chore. Anyways, that's a grand total of $406.64 on inventory in the last 90 days. And whoa, holy crap, now we're at negative $896.44. Yeesh. That's a terrifying number. But remember in the beginning when I said we are actually in the black now? Before I go over how much I made in the last 90 days, I'd like to take you on a quick tour of my reselling spaces so I can show you how putting a lot of effort into scaling and streamlining this small work from home business is how I got to the black. All right, so this is my inventory space. This is actually half of my inventory space. So initially, when I first started off, the only shelf that I had access to was this one. So this was something that we already had, so I don't consider this as cost when it comes to cost of the business. This is in my garage, so I do store all of my clothing in bins. It does get really dusty in here, so I want to make sure that the clothes are protected, so I keep them in bins. I would love to have a basement, but here where I live, they don't make basements very often, so we just have to kind of work with what we've got. So when I very first started off, one of the best pieces of advice I got from another reseller online is to make sure that you mark everything. Every shelf, every bin gets some sort of a label. So I just wrote with my kids' markers on paper, shelf 1, shelf 2, shelf 3, and so on. Obviously, my bins are lettered as well, ABC. I have a couple of small ones down there for like smaller things that I want protected. And then every once in a while, you're gonna end up finding things that are just loose. So that is like this giant stack of backpacks. I don't want to talk about it. And then these are all like brand new pairs of shoes that I got at the online liquidator. And then, you know, every once in a while we'll have loose things that don't really need to be protected. This is just like a ceramic cookie jar. It'll get dusty, obviously. I will clean it off before I pack it up when I sell it. This whole stack right here, these are a bunch of like really cheap, crappy plastic cabinets that you can buy off of Amazon, but I would not recommend it. I got these at an auction for, I think, $20 for 2 sets of them. But this is full of shoes. On this side over here, I have Amazon boxes for when I need to ship something in a box. This bag is full of stuffing, like paper. I save all of the little plastic air bubbles or anything like that that I get from Amazon. And this also has like paper and like that kind of thing. So for example, when I ship this, it's gonna end up going in a huge box with a lot of stuffing. So that's why I have so much of it, because you never know when you're gonna need it. So if you can see possibly from the very top is, actually I'm gonna move the video a little bit. I just recently got my dad and husband to install this up here. I already have one of them on the other side, but I really wanted another one so that I could remove things from a shelving unit I have over there, put them up here, and now I have my other half of my inventory on this side of the garage that I will show you. Okay, so just this shelf, not this one. This is all just like personal belongings. Just this shelf is dedicated to more inventory. These shelves are also numbered. I actually decided to continue the shelving numbers from over there. So this is 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. I also have more boxes over here and more boxes up here. Yes, these are all empty. Do I need this many boxes? No. It's actually very rare that I sell things in boxes, but when I first started off, I asked neighbors and friends and family for boxes, and I have a very, very supportive inner circle, and everyone came through and gave me a shitload of boxes. So I feel like I will not be running out of boxes for probably the rest of the year. I do want to take a moment really quickly and just mention that if you are just getting started off reselling and you're starting to kind of look at your space, you might actually be somebody that already started buying stuff and didn't even think about where you were going to put it. Before you start reselling, I would make absolutely sure that you have a dedicated space or a dedicated couple of spaces in your house, in your garage, in your basement for your inventory. The reason that I say that this is like a super important thing is because you need to make sure that you are respecting yourself and the people that you live with. Trust me when I say I would love to turn this entire garage into an inventory space. Imagine the amount of things that I could buy to resell if this entire garage was just full of my inventory. However, behind the camera is an entire gym. In front of me here is a rower. Over here is some of my kids' toys. We have tools, we have all of the lawn equipment over here. And I live in a relatively small 3-bedroom house. One of the bedrooms is dedicated to my office, which you'll see in just a second. One is obviously for my husband and I, and one is obviously for my child. The rest of the house, the living room, the kitchen, the hallway, that's for living, not for inventory. I have seen videos or clips on TikTok of people that just have massive death piles sitting around their house, and I can't stress this enough. This is actually psychologically proven that clutter in the home causes clutter in the mind, which is not going to help your reselling business, and it's not going to help you or your housemates live peacefully in your home. So be very, very careful about what you choose to do. Okay, so now that you've seen my inventory space, I want to go ahead and give you a tour of my office, which is basically where I do 99% of my reselling work. All right, welcome to my office space. Hopefully my newly acquired microphone is helping eliminate the noise from outside, but I absolutely refuse to close the window when it's in the low 70s outside. I know I was just talking about how your inventory and your death piles can affect your quality of life when you're working from home. For me, it is a non-negotiable to have natural light and oftentimes natural airflow coming in to my office. So obviously over here I have my desk. This is the computer that I do all of my work on. It is a Mac Mini, just this little guy here. You don't need like a crazy great computer to do eBay listings. I personally would recommend getting a screen that has better photo quality. This one does not, and when I take photos with my photo table, with my high quality iPhone camera and put them on my computer, the computer appears to have really bad photo quality. So when I'm listing things on my computer, it looks like the quality is really terrible. But if I look at the listing on my phone, the listings look great. So I always leave my planner and my iPad at my desk. I use my iPad to make thumbnails for YouTube, and I also use it to bring into my inventory space to mark down where I'm putting everything when I'm putting inventory away. I have a few things that I need over here for listing and for shipping. I have a box cutter. I have a little measuring tape. I have 3 of my favorite motivational books over here that keep me going. I probably need to do a video on that because these 3 books are one of the reasons why I am doing what I'm doing with reselling and with YouTube videos. This yardstick will appear in almost every single one of my clothing listings to make sure that people know what size they're getting. I have a PVC backdrop rolled up over here that I put up when I am taking photos of hard goods and shoes. Over here, I have a postal scale. This is an old dresser. It's like a hand-me-down dresser. Did not need to spend a dime on this. This is full of all of my shipping supplies. So in the top drawer, I have my tape gun, I have my little thank you stickers, and I just have other odds and ends in here. And then I have several different sizes of poly bags in here and in there. And then on the bottom, I have like special Amazon type packages. I don't know if you guys get these, but every once in a while, I will get one of these from Amazon, and I keep them, and like the bubble mailers too. So I keep those down there in case I need them. This is a bag of drafts. I call them drafts, not giraffes like the animal, drafts like drafts in my eBay store. This is all things that have already been photographed. They are put in my eBay listings as a draft with the photos in them. All I need to do is modify the listing a little bit and I list them. I am currently listing 3 items a day. So this really, really helps me streamline that. I've already photographed these items over here. They're put in a bag and all I have to do is grab 3 of them, list them, and be on my way. And it takes me like maybe 20 minutes a day. Over here is my brand new fancy schmancy photo table. I really want to emphasize this because I love it so much. I'm probably gonna move the camera so you can see it a little better. I actually got this idea from a YouTuber that I follow called Resells. Huge fan of her content, and I will put that specific video down below so you can figure out how to build this. What happened with mine, however, though, was I sent the video to my dad, who is very, very handy and enjoys building stuff like this, and he will always take any example that I give him and just make it better. He wanted to make sure that I wasn't putting too many holes in my walls and wanted to make sure that it was really sturdy. So this is a very, very sturdy version of that. But basically this is a 4x4 piece of plywood that is covered in a fleece blanket, like a gray fleece blanket. And let me show you how it works. I just pull it up from the bottom here, and then there's a leg down here that I pull down, and then it stays like this. And if I have something that is slippery that won't stick on this, I can just adjust it so that it comes up higher so that it's more of like a table. And then I turn my photo light on. That is not the color that I use, but I don't feel like changing it right now. Turn my photo light on, snap my pictures. When I'm done, turn my photo light off, and then push the leg back up and lay that back against the wall, and then it's not in the way. So this photo table has streamlined the crap out of my business, because what I do now, instead of having to move everything off the floor, what you don't see is a beanbag chair that is the size of my car. I don't have to move everything off the floor, lay out my PVC backdrop, put it on the floor, be bending over and coming back up. My back was killing me before trying to take photos. So I don't have to worry about that anymore. Another thing I have over here, if you can see, is a 3x3 foot card table. That is what I use to film hard goods on, or shoes, or just anything that's not clothing that won't stick to this table. I just put it up, set it against here, and then I take my PVC backdrop and I kind of like drape it over here, tuck it into this. We are actually going to be coming up with a way where I can have the PVC backdrop up here and just be able to roll it down. And then another thing I just quickly wanted to show you was this photo light. This was on a limited time deal or a lightning deal on Amazon for $17 or something like that. It was really inexpensive. It has made all the difference in the quality and the lighting of my listings. Lighting is so important when you're taking photos for listings. And despite all of the natural light that is in here right now, you would be amazed at how little light shows up when you're taking a photo. Even the ring light that I'm using right now to film this video does not provide enough light to take photos on eBay. So I would highly recommend investing in one of these lights. Again, they're not very expensive. Okay, now that you've seen how I am making this business work in my favor, how I have streamlined and how I have scaled up, let's get back to the numbers. All right. You want to know how much I sold in the last 90 days to get me to the black. Let's put that scary number back up here. Obviously, I had to have sold more than $896.44. Even just a penny over that would technically mean that I'm in the black, but thankfully, we're a little bit over a penny. In February, I made $333.15. In March, I made $592.31. Interesting how I spent very little on inventory in March, but I sold the most in March. And in April, I made $345.95. Oh, you don't want to do the math? I have to do that? Okay, fine. That's a total of $1,271.41, which brings our running total to not negative, positive $374.97. Woo! Y'all, hitting above the negative on my spreadsheet was the biggest dopamine hit that I've had since I started my reselling business. I truly felt like I was never going to get there, and to be honest, it was actually only a few weeks after my first 90-day video that I hit the black. To celebrate our success, And yes, I mean our success, because y'all have contributed in motivating me and help keeping me going. I'd like to share a handful of my favorite flips from the last 90 days. Oh, and if you'd like to know exactly every single thing I sell, I actually post a short video every Monday on here, so make sure that you subscribe and turn your notifications on so that you see that. Okay, so here's my favorite flips. I sold not one, not two, but 3 sets of loop earbuds. These are my favorite things to sell, and they're not huge money makers, but they always sell super quickly and they cost next to nothing to source. Secondly, this pair of OnClouds, they seriously were not in good condition, you guys. They were in like meh condition, and I think I paid $5 for them and they ended up selling for around $40. So that's just like such a good flip and something you should definitely be on the lookout for. Thirdly, I have this Under Armour mock, and the reason that I put this in here, even though it's kind of just a whatever item, is because it kind of taught me something. My husband gave this to me because he was gonna just like toss it or donate it or something to see if I could sell it. So I was like, yeah, sure, I'll get $10 for it. So I listed it initially for $10, and then I was getting a bunch of offers for like $8 or $5, and I was like, wow, maybe I should check comps on these because I guess they must not be worth very much. So I did check comps for some reason. I didn't check comps before I listed, but I checked comps after, and they're actually selling for like $20. So I went ahead and relisted it from $10 to $20, and it sold within 24 hours at the $20 price point, not the $10 price point. So I thought that that was really strange. It was almost like I devalued the item so much that people were trying to like buy it for resale, possibly. Not really sure. Interesting learning experience. Let me know what you think about that in the comments. Number 4, I have this A New Day brand maxi dress. I know, another, why the heck would this be your favorite flip, Taylor? Because this was one of the first items that I ever purchased for a style and a seasonal choice rather than a brand choice. A New Day is just a Target brand. It's not going to sell for a lot of money, but I paid $1.44 for it at the Goodwill bins, and it sold for like $18 or something like that. So I ended up profiting $15 on it, and it sold in under a week. Just goes to show you, sometimes you need to think about what people want right now. Like if it's springtime, people are going to want pastel colors and beautiful flowy spring dresses. Okay, doesn't matter what brand it is. And lastly, my personal record flip that I was talking about earlier, which is this garage hub that I found at a garage sale for $2. It sold in under 10 minutes for $19. So really, really good ROI, super fast flip. I was actually pretty surprised that I sold it that quickly, but it was definitely honorable mention. All right, guys, as we approach the end of today's video, I just want to thank you all for your continued support and for watching my videos. It means the absolute world to me. Tell me in the comments if you think I should do another update in another 90 days, because that would be around August time. So I think it'd be kind of interesting maybe to see where I end up. Or maybe it's not and nobody cares. I guess I'll know based on how well this video does. If you don't know, my goal is to get to roughly like an average of $1,000 a month at the end of the year, or $250 a week would be okay with me as well. And as you do know by watching today's video, I mean business. So it would not be surprising to me at all if I made that goal by the end of the year. So subscribe if you want to see if I do. Happy reselling. Bye.